Hello there and welcome to another video with me, Rufus Gazelle, and today we are in Bournemouth at Wimborne Road Cemetery where we're going to be paying our respects to the late great Frederick Abberline. Now you're probably all asking, who is Frederick Abberline? Well, he is in fact the lead detective in the hunt for the Victorian serial killer Jack the Ripper. This video is going to be right up the street of all you true crime lovers. He isn't a massive famous celebrity, he isn't a writer, a musician, an actor, no. But for those who do love true crime, this video truly is going to tickle your taste buds. Now, Jack the Ripper was never identified, he was never caught for his brutality towards women, the seriousness of the crimes that he committed. He was never trialed, he was never sentenced for those crimes, which is a shame. But how close did they actually come to capturing him and what actually happened to him? We will talk a little bit more about that later on in the video. But for now, we're going to check in, see how you're doing, and have a look at some of the graves that are dotted around here, because some of these headstones are really, truly marvellous. They are really impressive to the eye when you walk around this cemetery. And not only are they impressive, but they are also quite eerie. I mean, you've only got to take a look at this one in front of me here. It does send shivers down my spine, because to me this resembles what looks like a weeping angel from Doctor Who. And if I look away and look back, I really hope it doesn't come closer and attack me. Another monument slash headstone that caught my eye was this one right in front of me here. This really did stand out amongst all the others. The design, what it resembles. Take a look at this. This headstone here is truly remarkable. I mean, this one, obviously keen sailors, no doubt, with the yacht on the side of the headstone here. What looks like this here, which resembles the waves, in memory of Townsend, which you can just see engraved at the top there. There we go, it's a better view. And round here is the same, carbon copy. Absolutely fantastic headstone. And it is in honour of, or in memory of, George Townsend and his beloved wife, Bertha Townsend. There we go. These headstones, some of them are just so unique, and I feel like this is one of them. And considering the standard headstones that we see quite commonly down there, I just had to show you this one. So how are we all doing, guys? I hope you are all doing well, looking after yourselves, keeping healthy, and wrapping up warm, because the temperature is truly rapidly going downhill as we get into December. It really is getting very, very chilly now. Hence this nice jacket that I'm wearing today to keep me nice and snug on these really cold mornings. And unfortunately, I've just seen this headstone, this monument, toppled over. It looks like the ground has subsided behind it and caused it to fall over in a storm, which is quite sad to see, because it's not only damaged its own monument headstone, it's damaged the one next to it. You can see there how the ground is sort of subsided and it's crushed that one next to it. It's quite sad in that sense, but I suppose over time the ground softens, the weather elements, and unfortunately sometimes vandals topple these beautiful headstones, these monuments of great respect to the people that are laid here. And yeah, there aren't very nice people around. Anyway, it is time to get started, so let's talk about the late great Frederick Abberline and the history of his life. Let's go. Frederick George Abberline was born the 8th of January 1843 and died the 10th of December 1929. He was a British Chief Inspector for the London Metropolitan Police. He is best known for being the lead investigator and a prominent police figure into the investigation of Jack the Ripper, the Victorian serial killer, the Whitechapel murderer, of 1888. Frederick Abberline was born in Blandford Forum in Dorset, England. He was the youngest son of Edward Abberline and his wife, Hannah. Edward Abberline died in 1849, and his widow opened a small shop and brought up her 4 children, Emily, Harriet, Edward, and Frederick Abberline, alone. Frederick was a clockmaker until he left home to go to London, where he enlisted in the Metropolitan Police on the 5th of January 1863, being appointed to the N Division, Islington, with the warrant number 43519. P.C. Abberline so impressed his superiors that they promoted him to sergeant 2 years later, on the 19th of August 1865. On his promotion, he moved to Y Division, Highgate. He was promoted to inspector on the 10th of March 1873, and 3 days later, on the 13th of March, transferred to H Division in Whitechapel. On 8th of April 1878, Abberline was appointed local inspector in charge of H Division's CID. On the 26th of February 1887, Abberline transferred to A Division, Whitehall, and then moved to CO Division Central Office at Scotland Yard on the 19th of November 1887, being promoted to Inspector First Class on the 9th of February 1888, and to Chief Inspector on the 22nd of December 1890. Following the murder of Mary Ann Nichols on the 31st of August 1888, Abberline was seconded back to Whitechapel due to his extensive experience in the area. He was placed in charge of the various detectives investigating the Ripper murders. Chief Inspector Walter Dew, then a detective constable in Whitechapel's H Division in 1888, knew Abberline and, while describing him as a sounding and looking like a bank manager, also stated that his knowledge of the area made him one of the most important members of the Whitechapel murder investigation team. Among the many suspects in the case, Abberline's primary suspect was Severian Antonovich Kalowski, aka George Chapman. That theory was reiterated decades later by Robert Milne. He presented a paper about the case to the International Association for Identification Conference in 2011 and to the Chartered Society of Forensic Sciences in 2014, suggesting Chapman as the most likely Ripper. Based on his expertise, review of the investigation documents and the use of geographical profiling software, he was convinced that the killer lived in the area of the murders, hence George Chapman being the most likely suspect in the Jack the Ripper murders of 1888. Chapman fitted that bill accurately. Milne also pointed out that Chapman, a known serial poisoner of women, would go out carrying a small bag and not coming home until 4:30 a.m, according to his estranged wife. Among Abberline's theories about the murders, one suggested that the crimes could have been perpetrated by a female killer. Chief Inspector Abberline retired from the police on the 8th of February 1892, having received 84 commendations and awards. Abberline was married twice, once in March 1868 to 25-year-old Martha Magnus, the daughter of a labourer from Elton, Northamptonshire. She died of tuberculosis 2 months after they married. On the 17th of December 1876, Abberline married 32-year-old Emma Beamont, the daughter of a merchant from Hoxton, Newtown, Shoreditch. His second marriage to Emma Beamont lasted until Frederick's death over 50 years later. They had no children. On his retirement from the Metropolitan Police, he returned to Bournemouth and was hired by the Pinkerton Detective Agency in 1904. Initially, he worked in casinos in Monte Carlo to find customers who were cheating. He then returned to England and continued working for the agency until another retirement in 1904. He then bought a home, Est Court, on 195 Holdenhurst Road, Springbourne in Bournemouth. Abberline died on the 10th of December 1929, aged 86 years, just under 3 months before his wife Emma died, and was buried in Bournemouth at Wimborne Road Cemetery, which is where we are today. A blue plaque commemorating Abberline was unveiled at the said address, 195 Holdenhurst Road, which has now been divided into flats on the 29th of September 2001. In 2007, following a campaign for Abberline's unmarked grave to be recognised, and with the approval of his surviving relatives, a black granite headstone inscribed and donated by a local stonemason was erected on the site on the grave where Abberline and Emma are laid to rest. Frederick Abberline was portrayed in many films and TV miniseries. He was played by Michael Caine in the 1988 television miniseries Jack the Ripper. In this, the character was an ageing alcoholic whose quest to solve the murders gives him the strength to give up drinking. A fictionalised Abberline was featured as the protagonist of Alan Moore and Eddie Campbell's graphic novel From Hell between 1991 and 1999, and was subsequently portrayed by Johnny Depp in the film adaptation of the same work, in 2001, From Hell. Frederick Abberline has also been featured in a video game, yes, in 2015's Assassin's Creed Syndicate. So there we have it, a brief insight into Frederick Abberline. I made it as brief as I can. There is a lot to process and take on board there. And you can talk about Jack the Ripper so much. You can go into so much depth, and that would have to be for another video on another day. But in terms of what happened to him, was he ever caught? No one actually knows. I mean, there are theories that he may have been arrested for a different crime, something not so severe to the crimes he actually committed on all those women, the brutality, the disembowelment that he did on these poor women. He may have got away with those crimes, but potentially he might have been arrested for, like I said, a different crime and incarcerated for that. He also may have died. Someone may have murdered him. He may have died of an illness, because the murders did stop. So what happened to Jack the Ripper? That is the question. I would love to give you the answer, but unfortunately I don't have that answer. But all I do know is that Abberline tried his best in trying to hunt down Jack the Ripper. Even though they had their suspicions on who it could be, they didn't have the hard evidence, I guess, to prosecute and capture him, or even find him. There we go. There were 11 potential victims, but only 5 were confirmed. The canonical 5, if that's the right pronunciation, but I believe it is. The canonical 5, and that was Mary Ann Nichols, Annie Chapman, Elizabeth Stride, Catherine Eddowes, and Mary Jane Kelly. I don't think you realise how much these women suffered at the hands of Jack the Ripper. They were truly and utterly mutilated, disemboweled, and utterly deformed beyond recognition. Body parts taken out, slashed and stabbed multiple times. I would show you a graphic picture of Mary Jane Kelly's body, but I don't know if it's the right thing to do. So if you want to go online and Google Mary Jane Kelly, it will bring up a picture of what the police found, and it truly was so disturbing. That is why I don't really want to share the picture on this video, even though you guys may be interested. I don't know if it's suitable. I don't know. But I think it's time we go and locate the final resting place of Frederick Abberline. Yes, the lead investigator in the hunt for Jack the Ripper. So let's go and do it. In memory of Frederick George Abberline, 8th of January 1843, Blandford Forum, to the 10th of December 1929, Bournemouth, Chief Inspector CID Scotland Yard, and his wife, Emma Abberline, née Beament, 26th of September 1844, Islington, to the 15th of March 1930, Bournemouth. So here we have the final resting place of Frederick Abberline and his wife, Emma Abberline. Unfortunately, she only passed away 3 months, or less than 3 months after Frederick did, which is very sad indeed. I just want to add, which I've already briefly touched upon earlier on, up until 2007, Frederick Abberline's final resting place was unmarked. There was no headstone. And on the back of this headstone is another inscription. So let's go and take a look. As we pan round to the back of this lovely granite headstone, we will read the inscription on the bottom. And it states, "Memorial supplied by Williams Monumental Co., Friends of the Metropolitan Police Museum and Pinkerton's Detective Agency. And man, they have done him proud by supplying this gorgeous granite headstone, a much deserved headstone that unfortunately he hasn't received until 2007. All those years of being in an unmarked grave, he finally has got what he deserves. May you rest in peace, kind sir, Frederick George Abberline." So before we finish this video, I want to take a short walk over to Holdenhurst Road, which is where Frederick Abberline lived up until his death with Emma. It's not far away, and there's a blue plaque on the outside of the building. Even though it's now been turned into flats, the blue plaque is still there. And I thought it would be quite a nice addition to this video if I show you it, before we return back here to Wimborne Road Cemetery and wrap this whole video up. So let's go. Okay, so we finally made it down to Holdenhurst Road. I can see the property just over there and the blue plaque. It's the correct address. I've got to try and cross this busy road here, a road that leads straight into the centre of Bournemouth. So I've got to be slightly careful that I don't get run over. I also have to be respectful. This is a residential area and people do live in that property, so I've got to be a little bit courteous. So let's try and get across this road without a car wheel spinning and knocking me headlong into the side of the road. There we go. And here it is. This is the property of Frederick Abberline. This is Est Court. Take a look at this. So this is it. This is 195 Holdenhurst Road, Est Court, and there is the blue plaque just above the number 195 in flats 1 and 2 to 5. Let's just zoom in if we can, a little bit closer. There we go. It reads, Est Court, 195 Holdenhurst Road, the final home of Inspector Frederick George Abberline, 1843 to 1929. During his 29 years with the Metropolitan Police, Abberline gained 84 commendations and awards and became well known for his work on the case of Jack the Ripper. There we go. Plaque unveiled September 2001, the borough of Bournemouth. Wow. This is where he lived, here on Holdenhurst Road in Bournemouth. And there is Est Court. Let's get back to the cemetery because it's rather noisy here and extremely busy. Do I dare cross again? And I have to admit, I'm getting a strong smell of cannabis coming from these buildings around me. So there we go. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. I have to thank every single one of you that tunes in, all the new subscribers and all the returning subscribers. We're about to hit 2K, 2,000 subscribers. I cannot believe we are about to hit that milestone. Only 2 or 3 weeks ago, we hit 1,000 subscribers, and now we're about to hit 2,000. It's unbelievable, remarkable. And I have to thank every single one of you for getting me there. Without you, I wouldn't be doing this now. So that is why I do it, for you. So, like I've said, thank you so much. So cometh the final hour, cometh the end. We have finally reached the point of no return. All I've got left to ask you guys is to please, please, please go and give this video a thumbs up. Go and subscribe if you haven't done already, and go and hit the notification bell for all future notifications, for all future videos. It's that simple. It doesn't cost you anything. It's not a subscription service. And all I've got left to say is 2 final words from here at Wimborne Road Cemetery in Bournemouth. And that is vlog over.